Hey, real quick, to do a little introduction for a video that I shot out at the World Treehouse Conference in this October 2023. It's a video of Greg Good demonstrating how to use the GRCS service tool and the maintenance procedures for disassembling and reassembling your caps and drum on the GRCS. So enjoy.
All right, when you have your GRCS on your workbench, sometimes one of the most difficult things to do is loosen up the handle screw to be able to take the handle socket out. So because you're turning counterclockwise, you're using the low speed gear in the winch, so you're not turning the screw. So I make this little winch service tool, which drops into the hole, which is screwdriver through it. It's set up so you can hold it with a three-quarter inch or 19 millimeter open end wrench. Then you can bust the screw loose, and at the end, it helps you get that screw nice and snug. And if you're using the winch a lot with a drill, and you're using the drill in reverse, the vibration and everything tends to make the screw want to back out.
Oh.
Especially because unless you're able to hold that drill and that chuck perfectly in line, there's going to be a little wobble, and that's going to wobble that screw loose. So it's nice to have one of these along, and your pre-flight inspection of your GRCS before you take it a mile into the woods and have the handle socket fall out is to make sure that's snugged up. So I got a bunch of these.
That's critical.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do.
So, blue Loctite on the screw?
No.
Okay.
But the newer versions we're making, I tried to get Harkin to put a left-hand thread screw in.
Mm-hmm.
They had a real hard time sourcing a left-hand thread screw. So now instead of a flathead screw, we're using a socket head screw. We use a 5 millimeter Allen wrench on because you can get more torque on that socket head screw. And they do put Loctite on those, so they don't back off. But they just started doing that for me, so I have thousands of these out in the field. So you need one of these. So we're going to take the first thing you do is take the handle socket screw out. Oop. And when you do that, it's nice to just keep the handle socket vertical, because if you capsize the screw in there, it's kind of a pain in the neck to get it in the washer. And the washer is specific. It has a countersink in it, and if you capsize the washer, then you've got to fart around to try to get it straight. Then these three screws that hold the stripper arm, this top chrome part or stainless steel piece is called the stripper arm.
You got the right size there, sir?
Yeah, there we go. It's just the screws are full of dirt. So you just turn these out about a turn and a half. And then all you have to do is turn this a little bit, and the stripper arm, you can slip it right off. Then the drum just lifts right off and exposes a lot of the guts. And one thing I'm noticing on this is there's a little bit of a ridge here, which tells a little bit of a ridge, a lip, which means that the handle socket bushing here, it's a Teflon bushing, this white bushing inside, is worn. And so I have some of those in the car. I'm going to replace that bushing.
So that does need to be replaced because it's that worn.
It's a good thing, and that when the handle socket is worn up here, it probably indicates that the bushing at the very bottom in the base that the main shaft rides in is probably worn as well, so we're going to replace that too. So to get down there,
The main bearing in the pin shaft.
we're going to take, got 3 more 5 millimeter head screws in here. Got to take off. And this is called the stripper arm support, so we've got to take the stripper arm support off. Yeah, that's an aluminum bronze casting that is chrome plated. So the stripper arm support comes off, and I'll replace that bushing in a minute. These bearings, there are no lube bearings.
No lube.
No lube on the bearings.
But what about this Teflon?
Well, we're going to clean that off.
So Greg, when I lubed mine when I took it apart, that was bad, or just no need?
No need. It's just going to make things dirty.
That's what I did. Okay.
So then we got to take the bearing support off, and these are a little larger screws. They're 8mm screws with a 6mm Allen head.
Loctite on them? Did they have Loctite?
No, they've just been torqued. We torqued these to about 20 Newton meters.
What's the green stuff?
That is a mark that shows they've been torqued.
So they don't back off. You can tell if they back off.
Just unscrew this. This can be lifted out right now.
Center shafts. I bet you there's not a YouTube video.
There will be now because Dave is filming it.
No, that's specifically why I asked for that. Thank you, Greg.
Harkin has videos on YouTube that have service, so I think Craig's made a few.
So, there's how much we're gonna come off.
Better view.
Awesome.
Is this just a standard winch?
Well, it's they've made modifications for me. It's taller than the standard winch, and it has this billet aluminum machine stripper arm support. They gave me some that this was plastic. It was 2 plastic pieces, and I said that'll never work. And the Italian said, "Oh yeah, we tested it." I said, "You didn't do tree work with it." So first I got 100 that had that plastic piece on, and about 2 weeks into selling those, I had to order so many parts from them. They decided to make that aluminum.
No, was my original one, was that aluminum? It must have been, huh?
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah. So this is the gear case. I'm going to pull this. This is the ratcheting for the high-speed gear.
Okay.
This is the high-speed gear. And ratcheting falls.
So Harkin actually invested into development to provide you something.
Well, these gears and everything was standard, and
That one's still intact, or is it gone?
this bushing is actually good. So, yep, this is the high-speed gear. This is the low-speed gear. So, when you're turning the handle counterclockwise, like you would in low speed, the pawls in this pinion gear lock. So the pinion is always going to turn this direction to be able to drive the drum. And so this is low speed. When you're going in high speed, you have this, and you have a second idler gear here, which is like that in every car transmission. There's an idler gear to change the direction. So when you shift into reverse, reverse is running through a second gear that changes the direction. So that's what this does, for high and low speed. So. And when you take these apart, I usually have a parts washer tank I dump all this stuff into, and then you reassemble them with any kind of standard wheel bearing grease. You don't have a little tub of grease around here, do you?
I do, and it's actually on my cart.
Oh,
I think grease.
no, there's nothing that gets hot in here, and everything turns real slowly. So don't go spending money on Gucci grease because.
Would you compare and contrast the environment, let's say, that this winch has in tree work versus this winch in saltwater sailing? You know, where
Oh yeah, well, every time you go sailing, you're supposed to rinse your winches out with fresh water, and it'll get the salt water out of it. And Harkin uses a white food grade grease, so if a little bit of it washes into the ocean, it's not causing any pollution.
But does Harkin say every time you go sailing you should douche it out? Excuse my language. But as in take this all apart and douche it
No,
out?
just there's scuppers here, and it's made to. It'll let water in if you spray water in.
No, just as the winch.
Yeah.
stands.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
No, I know you.
Well, as a sailor, you mean, or as a...
Yeah, sailor.
So, and the only things that don't get greased are the ratcheting pawls. For this, we use a real light oil, like 3-in-1 electric motor oil.
Gun oil?
Light oil.
You got any gun oil?
Gun oil or something.
Oh, no.
Could you use like LPS 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got that?
So I'd like to oil these up before I put it back together.
WD?
You gotta have something in the shop, man. You got a little.
WD.
I got WD-40. You don't really want WD-40, right?
Oh, that could work.
I think I got a spray can of LPS 2.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Run, Dave.
Because if you grease these, then eventually you'll get enough dirt in there, so the grease turns to gum, and then these don't work. But the way this is set up, if in order for the winch ever to backspin, all 4 pawls on this gear and both pawls would have to fail. But when in 25 years, I've replaced one of these that is broken. And what happened in that winch when it broke, it jammed everything up so it wouldn't turn at all. So the guy was just freaked out. My winch is completely ruined, and sold me a piece of shit and all this stuff. And I took it apart, and he needed a 1.50-cent piece to
He just shock
put
loaded
it
it.
back together. I don't know.
Drop.
It was
I don't
probably
know.
a
Defective part.
I found a forum where they were these guys were taking the GRCS to failure
Yep.
and trial tests. Is that through you or is it independent?
No, we took him to failure at the Milwaukee School of Engineering. And,
Yeah, I couldn't
and
find
then-
the video link. It wasn't linked to me. I was very disappointed.
What was the fail point?
How did you?
Well, the one actually at MSOE, I had that big elm stump bolted into that milling machine table, and we had a hydraulic cylinder that I machined a saddle that was this radius. Went from 3 to 9 o'clock. We bolted it into this hydraulic cylinder that they could precisely measure the force. And we got to like 22,800 pounds, and we heard a pop. And the pop was
Oh, just loading it.
just loading it.
Okay.
And the pop was that screw failed. We took that screw out, repeated the test, 23,000 pounds pop. We did it 4 times, and at that point I said to the guy, the engineer, what's the shear load at 90 degrees rating for this grade 10.9 8mm bolt? He pulls out his Texas Instruments and punches it in. And he goes like, 23,400 pounds. So
So it'll rip out the base plate before anything.
yeah, well, you'll break ropes, at that point. But then we didn't know it would do shock loading, and the only way to go out there was to do some crazy ass negative rigging.
With that Volvo?
No, well, my friends did that with the Volvo out in California, and so we had some red oaks that were killed by oak wilt, and it kills trees in pockets because it spreads through root grafts. We had 6 red oak stems. We'd already taken the tops out. We had our bucket truck there, and we hung big blocks on the stems, and we were taking like 10 and 12 foot pieces of 28-inch diameter red oak, and just snubbing them off on the winch and tipping them over, and we just blew up 1 3/4 inch lowering line after another.
1 3/4 inch lowering line after another. Wow.
And well, we had 2 brand new ones, and at the end we had like 20 pieces of scrap rope. But we proved that the thing. Then we took it apart, and actually I took it to Harkin, and they took it apart because they were skeptical about using this in our industry. They thought they'd get sued. So then they gave me the blessing to actually, that they said they would sell them to me for this purpose. Oh, there's the loop. So anyhow,
So
this bushing actually looks good on the bottom. There's no egging. So that I have to go to my car and get a new Teflon bushing for that.
He didn't show the GRCS.
Now, can these be modified and just be dentures?
I can.
A nice smile.
is this yours that you've been using in Ohio?
No, this is Evans.
This is Evan Lombardier. He was here. Oh, you weren't
Let's
here.
get it dirty.
He's an arborist up in my town, and he flew us into the mix for the weekend.
Okay.
But he also knew that Greg was gonna do this.
And then he can get a
And
free
he-
tune-up.
He has two of them, but he
So he
just
sent his older
said
one.
that this, he sent me along with his more beat up one.
Oh, okay.
He was here last year. He's
Ours
an
is-
artist. He's a good guy, and his wife just had a medical issue, so he would have been here this year.
I was gonna say we've been using ours on our rigging system, and it gets long duty cycles, and it looks way worse than this one. We're losing the chrome.
Oh yeah, well
Everything's
you're
walled
wearing the
out.
chrome off. You're just down to the aluminum bronze.
Oh yeah, but you
That
know,
doesn't matter.
the wall on that's got really thin from the wallering.
Oh.
This has gotten thin. I've replaced this base plate a couple times because
Oh, you will.
that
Did
cup
you replace
assembly-
the bushing inside?
oh yeah, yeah. I've got a package of Lubrication liners.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Yeah. I talked with
what?
Lubrication liners is what they're called. Teflon products.
Yeah, now the new ones are going to have a roller bearing in there. Now we have roller bearings here.
That's what I came
Here,
here for.
there's a roller bearing there, and there's also a roller bearing inside here
Yeah.
instead of that bushing.
So it's actually at 3 points.
Yeah, it'll be well on the shaft. It'll be 3 points when the new ones come out.
They
with
must
the
have
roller.
modified the shaft.
How often are you doing this maintenance?
You know, when you have a GRCS and it's new and you put it on the tree and you give it a spin, it's got a certain amount of drag. It's like you get a new fishing reel or something and you spin it. And then the first time I realized I had to look inside my GRCS was the first one. I put it on the tree and I spun it and it seemed a little stiff. And it's just because you get enough fine sawdust in our business in there that it starts turning the grease and the gum. So that was just kind of taking it apart. So I can't say do it. Depends on how often you use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How do you?
We've burned through so many right angle drills.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We finally switched to the Harbor Freight 13 amp right angle drills.
Quartered ones?
Yep,
Why? Because you get the automatic return.
pretty much.
You buy the 2-year warranty and it's the
No
cheapest.
questions asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best tool you've ever.
But yeah, I mean the duty cycles on the drill is taxing duty cycles on this for what we're doing because we do those like really long English reef systems. They're 400 feet long.
Oh,
So we're raising a load like sometimes 50, 60 feet that can weigh 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And then that's going to go up a hill
Yeah.
30 degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the English reed thing?
English reef system, it's analogous to what they're doing. But instead of the hoisting being done in a block, it's being
Yeah,
done
yeah.
in a 2-to-1 trolley configuration, and then the load lines are at the ends.
If you look it up on the Petrol website, there's a very nice video demonstrating it.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, the B&M Ock is going to get diagram.
Is there a quantity discount that GRCS offers?
I think after your
You
first
have to
100.
buy 1,400.
No, it's only 100.
Yeah, I know they're pricey, but
Worth every single
they
penny.
last. Unless you slam something into it.
There's a main line, like they had a cable, and then a tag line.
If you do slam something into them, you get the replacement parts.
Yeah.
Down to attachment.
Oh yeah, guys have called me and said, "Oh,
So you just pull at either end.
you're not going to believe what happened. I got to have a new winch." And I just tell them to send me some pictures. We can rebuild that.
So if we've only got one GRCS that we usually use, and so having it at one end is beneficial.
Nice.
Do you use them, Dustin?
We used it last year in Georgia, but it wasn't mine. It was a member of the team from Nashville. We brought it out, but now we're looking at just using them 100% for every tree location for the.
So that was the other mistake I was making when I was doing my old one, was greasing.
Oh yeah, you can't grease
Is
it.
it just too much shit or too?
Yeah. And then it'll attract garbage and
Yeah.
then turn it into chewing gum, and then your paws aren't going to work. So, in order the only way this can fit in there though is like.
Do you tend to
Is Virgil on?
do certain tune up to your GRCS on a regular basis? You know,
Yeah, my guys use them every day, so they know how to take them apart and put them back together. So I tell them when you guys feel like
I'll let Brian.
something's not right.
If they're using them every day, they're probably doing maintenance on them. If they were using them 5 days a
Are they
week,
getting ready to go
I
away,
would probably
Michael?
imagine once a month somebody's taking them.
Oh, okay.
No, not that often.
I've had
3
mine,
times a year.
Okay.
Okay.
I've had mine, tuned up, not rebuilt, just tuned up, and because there wasn't anything seriously wrong with it. I have one, it's one of the 3 in the woods here today. But I had that done at Brian Cross Yacht Rigging, who they know these winches like the back of their hand. And
It's actually amazing how easy it is to disassemble and service. I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, there's not much to it.
now, for some reason, I thought there was some.
Well, you're putting grease on.
Not on the poles, on the gear.
Oh, Roger, that got you.
This is
Okay.
the pinion
Copy. Yeah.
Poles are hiding inside now.
Now, I understood there were some small springs somewhere
Yeah, in the poles.
in the palm.
Pole springs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And in this case, they're okay.
Badass, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I do replace poles, the kit comes with poles and springs, so I put new poles in. But
That you have
What's happened that causes those to fail?
just
Use? Time?
well, they get a little worn on the edges, so
Oh.
maybe they don't like to grip the way they originally did.
That's a pretty delicate part.
So I just I replace them on a full rebuild as a matter of course.
So that's what you want to keep the grease away from?
Yeah.
Yep.
And with that spring, I could see that's a pretty delicate part.
generation of people in this world for sure.
Now, are these made in Italy?
They are made in Italy by real Italians.
By real Italians, genuine.
Why is
Works so
that?
well.
Yeah.
Dun, dun.
Here we go. Here.
So the bushing at the very bottom was okay.
Yep.
And this one you feel you're gonna replace.
I'm gonna definitely replace. Yeah, you're torquing it. Yeah. Well, oftentimes when that gets wobbly on top, the one at the bottom is getting really levered by the length of the shaft. But it doesn't warn that pushing like it. A little bit. And there. This goes on top to keep the pulse from getting off the roof. Or a little reversing gear.
Cases are they made in place by a fabricator? No. Or are they measured locally? Okay.
Alright, and then time for the bearing support to go back on. Gotta line the shaft up. I'm gonna grease that again. It should just drop together, which hasn't quite. There we go.
There it is.
Logging.
Staircase builder. So he builds and spiral staircases for people. And, you know, it's pretty intricate.
Just that one.
Very complicated.
Did you know how to maintain these, Greg, just from all the years of sailing?
No,
Oh, okay.
never was on a boat. Well, I was on a boat. I've been on a boat twice in my life that actually had winches on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I take each one apart when I get them, because sometimes Harkin doesn't put any grease in it.
Really?
They come out of the box with Harkin. The skirt pops off, and a lot of times, if you're installing them on a sailboat, you can use a hex head bolt that'll slip in from the side. You take the skirt off, then you pop the skirt back on, and it holds those bolts in place. So then if you're installing it on the deck of a sailboat, you have the holes pre-drilled, you can set it right on there, and the bolts won't pop back out at you. So you can set it on there and then go under the deck and screw it on. So Harkins said, yeah, all you do is pop the skirt off and they're ready to go. Sometimes they're as dry as they skip the greasing.
So every single one you've gone through.
They come apart like this.
Yeah. Okay.
But is that coming from the Italian manufacturer that way?
Yeah.
A little less dirt to worry about on a sailboat, probably.
Now,
Yeah.
if when you get it from Harkin, is this included?
No, I make that.
So
And the
you're
plate is wider than it is tall, and it's set up the pinion gear. The rope enters here, and the rope enters right over the pinion gear. So if I were to reverse this and have the pinion gear over here, but the rope's still coming in over here, so I could wind clockwise, I'd be losing a lot of power. Because I'd have this lever arm, this length from here to here, fighting. So it has to be. So the plate is asymmetrical, and the winch is offset. So if you put the winch in any other way but properly, you won't have clearance to get the pin in. So it won't let you do it wrong.
Crew member proof.
Because in the sailboat world, you don't have this.
Right. It goes right to the deck.
And actually, you receive them from Harkin without this too. So
Right. We make the plate.
You're at your farm?
No, I have a guy. We made the first one in my shop on a milling machine that I've got, but I made a template for drilling and tapping them, and we did all that at home, but not anymore. So it's automated. I have machine tools that are World War II.
Can you still record?
How about the bracket that attaches to the tree?
Those parts I have fabricated by a custom manufacturer. They make metal parts.
But in the beginning, you were making that yourself.
Yeah, we welded the first bunch up ourselves. I made a pattern. I borrowed a friend's time on a friend's laser cutter. And we a plasma table. And we burned them out on the plasma table.
You just spreading that grease around?
Yeah, and I'm making sure the shaft
Sheeted all the way
down to the bottom. So now I got to go to my car and get.
And you brought several of these, right?
Yeah. Yeah, anybody who has a GRCS will give them one of those. The rest I'll leave with Dave. So WesSpur can give them one or sell them.
Well, if you're giving them to us, then we're not going to sell them. But if you want to charge us for them, we'll sell them.
You can just do it as a gesture of goodwill.
So here's the. You don't have these.
I did know.
Yeah,
this
I got a
existed.
whole pile of them. So,
Now, did that get deformed by you getting it out, or was it all jacked up?
well, it's thin, much thinner. You can definitely feel the wear.
Oh,
how
I
much
can
it's
see it.
worn out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at that. That's just
Nylon.
nylon.
Teflon kind of impregnated. Slides in there. And there's a little lip on top and bottom that captures it.
Now, do we get like these bushings from you, Greg,
Yeah.
for customers, and then okay?
Yeah, I've got a big pile of them. And then yeah, Harkin actually doesn't sell direct to. They would sell to you. No, yeah.
No, they would. We have an account with them now.
Oh yeah. They probably sell them these for more than I can sell them. So you can see it's in there.
And it just lined up, and you didn't have to
Lined
do my
up.
okay.
Just push it down to the lip. And I put a little grease on there.
You do put a little.
Yeah. So that'll save us a lot of grief.
No.
This guy drops on. In the hole. Screws just dropped into the hole. Shaft is in.
You have to make I want to make sure you get a meal.
They said that we'd have plenty of food. That's why I didn't bring plates.
You make pork chops?
Pork chops and baked beans.
Balls.
What are those?
Those are bumpers.
Those are extra pads
Oh, for the bracket.
back. So if somebody needs a pad, otherwise Dave can have those.
So you said 20 Newton meters, just about what that twist
Yeah.
is, right?
I forgot to put the bearings in because there's a little lip here that won't. On the old ones, this time.
Oh, yeah.
But the current version of this, you could slip the bearings right over there.
So, have you ever forgotten to put the bearings in?
No. It's all together in the one pile on the table, and if there's anything left, we start over.
I'm very startled that earlier you said that I guess Harkin could not find left-hand screws.
Yeah.
Stunning. I mean, come on.
Well, but for a quality screw, I could actually see that being difficult because that's kind of a niche thing.
I'm just surprised. Personally, I'm just
I'm surprised too, and I think the Italians were just jerking around with it.
Got some coming with my mom.
There are a lot of rotating things that have left-hand screws.
Yeah, absolutely. But the new solution, what they're currently doing, it works well.
Yeah, we can't be making fun of Italians.
So what is the, for example, my GRCS, which is number 826 or something, is,
You have a classic.
yeah, and it was one of the ones on the trees.
Yep. And I've got to take that apart because your stripper arm was in the wrong spot. So somebody must have taken it apart and fooled with it one time.
Well, that was at Brian Toss.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't have done that. 'Cause if the stripper arm's right here and the rope comes off and you wind all the way over the top, and then it falls off. So you're using the full 360 degrees of the jaws. I've had guys service their winch, put the stripper arm over here. So the rope goes in and then goes over, and then here it just falls off, or it falls off of here and hangs straight down. So they're only using half of the grip of the self-tailing jaws, so they can call me up and say, yeah, this winch is slipping.
Okay.
Send me a picture.
Stripper arm got moved.
Stripper arm is in the wrong
Stripper
place.
arm the same thing as the tailing?
It's part of the self-tail.
I call it a self-tail.
Yeah,
Stripper
I
arm
do
is
too.
a grip.
That's the stripper arm part of the self-tail. Strips the rope off of the drum and feeds it into the self-tailing jaws. And this is the peeler wedge. And you can, if this is missing, don't use your wedge.
This is the what?
The peeler wedge.
Peeler wedge.
So, this is the stripper arm.
Okay. Now what you
This whole piece is called the stripper arm, but this is actually the arm that strips the rope off the drum. It's on an angle, it feeds, pulls it off on an angle, and feeds it right into the jaws. Dealing. Drum. Oh. Oh, these are really clean. They just don't have any grease on them.
Michael stole this mug. Just cut your fucking face. No, that's got vodka and something else. Leave it alone.
Where's Adam?
Say again?
Where's Adam?
I genuinely do not know, but I'm willing to bet he's laying in his bed.
So this goes in, and it locks in. There's a little tab on the bottom that rides in a little groove on the lower inside of the lower jaw. So it'll be able to spin all the way around, but you don't want to spin it all the way around. You capture it with this.
Okay.
And if that's not in there, and you're cranking a big load, you're actually able to bend this and wreck your jaws, which happens periodically. So you get your stripper arm in the right position, and then we'll tighten it up.
And you just have it right at 12 o'clock.
Well, 3 o'clock. This is
Oh, right.
12, that's the top.
Relative to the top, okay.
And the pinion gear is right there. So everything's lined up, and the rope peels off, and you're going to use the full circle. When it falls off, it can't fall out of any part of that circle.
You know, we're at a juncture in our history of the world where there's certain young people who would not understand what you mean by 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Isn't that fucked up?
It's not on the iWatch.
You know, I was at an event not so long ago. People were waiting in line, and they're going to open the doors at 10 o'clock, and there was a couple of parents with their 9-year-old daughter, and she was complaining about what time is it? Showed her my watch. Oh, I can't read that. You know, like it was. This says 10 to 7. It was 10 to 10. I can't read. What does that mean? 10 to 10? Well, she was looking at an analog. I can't read that. She didn't know what it meant.
Why did you raise that up, Greg?
Just,
You didn't need to mess with it right now.
I don't need to. I was just so I can see what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
Making sure I didn't cross thread the screw. So now you just give it a snug it up pretty much as tight as you can with your hand on the screwdriver. And then
And Jason got one of them.
That is a clean. He's coming tomorrow, so don't worry about it. 93% chance.
there you go. And with every service, you get a book S&H green stamps.
I remember those.
I remember those too.
So many people.
Thank you, Greg.
That's how I bought my first GRCS.